Hello, everyone. This is your host, Juana Lozano, and thank you for listening to this podcast. Today's guest is Paula Belden, who is the food pantry manager for the food pantry at Wesley Methodist Church, located in Fresno, California. We will discuss how the food pantry came to be and her experience volunteering there for more than 10 years now. Hello, Paula. Thank you for being here. And do you mind stating your name and what your position is at the food pantry?
Okay. Paula Belden, Belden, and I'm the food pantry manager.
Okay, and what is your organization's mission?
To serve the El Dorado Park neighborhood with food.
And how long has this organization or food pantry been around?
Well, the church started handing out just emergency bags, oh my gosh, probably 25 years ago. But we've been partners with Community Food Bank for about, I would say, 12 years.
Where did you start? Did you start like something small, like kind of giving them away on a specific day?
Okay, so at the very beginning, people would bring food to church, and there was a couple that took the food home and made it into emergency bags, and people would come into the office, and they would have a bag or two of food on hand. Then after that, I'm not sure at what point, they started making 12 bags a week, and those were distributed out of the office. So, I'm sorry, not 12 bags a week, 12 bags a month. And then it just grew from there. Then we went to 24 bags a month, and then 36, 48, 60, and about 2 years ago, it changed from once a month to once a week. So people could come once a week if they needed to.
And what do you do at the food pantry right now?
I order the food, keep track of inventory, shop for whatever I can't get at the community food bank, keep everything organized, make sure that we have enough volunteers to get the job done. I do a report to Community Food Bank every week. I input data into the food bank website, and then I also make ID cards so that when they come to get food, we can scan the card and right into the computer so that it makes things go faster.
And were there any differences from what you're currently doing right now than back then?
Right. So before we were partnering with the food bank, then people would come in, and we had binders, and we kept track of who had already gotten a bag that month. And then once we started partnering with the food bank and we had to report to them, then everything changed. At that point, people could still only come in once a month, but everything had to be reported so that the food bank, we buy food from the food bank at a reduced price. And the food bank wants to know what our numbers are, how many people are we serving, the demographics, age group, all of that stuff. They keep track of all of that. So it's a lot different from when I started, a lot different. Then it was just a matter of going to the grocery store, buying enough groceries to make, groceries that were on a specific list. I would shop the sales, take the stuff back, make the bags, and then it was up to the office staff to hand out the bags. We had a receptionist at that time in the office, and they would actually keep track in the binders of who got food, from week to week.
Mm-hmm.
So once the bags were made, then I could kind of step away until I needed to shop again.
Okay, and when it comes to funding to provide these types of services at the food pantry, are there times where it's kind of difficult, where it seems like you don't have enough for that week to give out?
I've never been to the point where I didn't know. Well, there was one point actually where we ended the year in the red and it was pretty desperate at that time. That was probably 15 years ago. But since then, with the help of the church members, money mostly comes from the church members. But I do write grants, and I do have some other organizations that donate to us. So I would say in the last 14 years, it hasn't been a concern. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have all the extra things in the bags that we do now. It was very basic. It was cereal, some cans, and maybe a roll of toilet paper, but nothing beyond that. It was just more of just an emergency bag.
Out of the many years volunteering at the food pantry, how many individuals have you helped, and how have you helped them? Whether it be the volunteers themselves or the people in the community.
Well, we do between 240 and 300 bags a month, depending on how many Thursdays there are. Mm-hmm. So you figure in a year, we're only closed Christmas Day and New Year's Day. So say 50 weeks out of the year times 240 bags, that would give you a number for 1 year of how many people we've helped feed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just math. I would, of course, some households have one person and some households have 7 people. So, and the way that we distribute bags is everybody gets the same amount of food no matter how many people are in the house. And that's not the way that all pantries do it. But it's hard to verify how many people are really in the house. We just, it's only been in the last 3 years or less that we've been able to hand out meat. Once we moved into the situation where we are now, and we bought freezers and the commercial refrigerator. That's when we started with the produce and then the meat. So all of that's been pretty recent. Before that, it was just dry goods.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to the volunteers, how did those volunteers came to be helping at the food pantry?
Okay. So through Fresno State volunteers, and we have church members, and we have neighborhood people. And yes, we do have a couple of people that started off coming to get food and then volunteered. And actually, there's probably been over the years, there's probably been a half a dozen of people like that that started out coming for food, and then at that point we needed either a truck driver or somebody to help do whatever, and we recruited them. So yeah, it's everything. It's all of those.
What do you think are the benefits of volunteering at the food pantry or volunteering in any nonprofit organizations in general?
Well, volunteering at the food pantry, you get first pick of whatever comes in, anything you want to take home. And with us, we just take care of our volunteers first. But, I just think, it's important to give back to the community. If you've got the time and the energy and whatever other resources and can help out any nonprofit, you get more out of it than you give. Communicating with other people, you make new friends. Sometimes it's hard work, but I think the benefits, are really important.
I totally agree with that. I really think that volunteering in general is a really good thing to do, not only for the community, but yourself.
Yeah.
So what are the challenges that you faced volunteering at the food pantry?
I would say, the challenges are making sure that there's enough money, that the volunteers show up, and that everything's ready to go at 9:00 on Thursday mornings.
Since recently COVID hit, how has it changed during the pandemic? Has there been any drastic changes for the food pantry?
Well, we had to limit the number of people that are in that space. So there's really only supposed to be 4 people in that space at the most. I mean, if there's more than that anyway, you're pretty much on top of each other. But that there was a time when we had to take temperatures and jump through all those hoops. And then, of course, we're still wearing masks in there because some people feel uncomfortable, even though most of us have been vaccinated. As far as the need in the community, when COVID first hit, people assumed that we closed, and a lot of people just stopped coming because they assumed we weren't there. We never closed. We only closed for 1 week when we had a scare of somebody that we thought was infectious. So we closed for 1 week. But the need for bags really has stayed the same, or maybe even become less, because there is so much food in the community. Plus, people are getting extra money on their EBT cards. They're getting, the stimulus checks and all of that. So there's a lot of people, I think, that used to come that right now probably don't need us as much. But I think, once all the extra money goes away, then the people that rely on government assistance to live, those people will come back. So we could, in the future, I would say, at least by next year, I think we could see the numbers really go up once the extra money stops. There are very, very few times, I would say maybe 4 weeks a year, that we have to make extra bags because 60 is not enough. And we don't turn people away ever. I mean, even if they show up on Tuesday when we're taking food in, we still give them a bag of food.
And when it comes to the El Dorado community, can you kind of describe what type of people come to the food pantry every week?
It's made up of Section 8 housing, so low-income housing, a little bit of student housing, but mostly it's low-rent apartments, multi-unit dwellings. The people it's everybody from families, college students. There is a halfway house that when people get out of prison, they're housed there for a time until they can put them someplace else. So we even have that population on Bulldog Lane.
And since I've been there, I know you help greatly when it comes to the homelessness. And can you describe a little bit how you can help, or how you help them?
When they come, first of all, we find out if they're on the street or if they have a place to cook. And sometimes it's both. They don't have a place to sleep, but they have a place where they can maybe store their food or go in occasionally and take a shower and cook. So we just try to give them food according to what they can handle. If they're on the street and they have no place to cook, no refrigeration or anything, then they just get a bag full of snacks. They'll get like tuna with a pop top lid, crackers, peanut butter, granola bars, anything, cereal, anything that's just, I call it hand to mouth, that doesn't need preparation. So that's at the lowest level of the people that have absolutely nothing and no resources. And then the other people that maybe don't have an address per se, but have some place where they can go and cook, then they pretty much get a regular bag. But they can, like, macaroni and cheese doesn't work for a lot of those people because they need milk and butter. Mm-hmm. So, it's better to give them a can of spaghetti sauce, and if they can cook noodles and have, eat spaghetti for a day or two. But anything that needs refrigeration, if they only, it's hard. It's people. I mean, it's an individual thing. People know what they can use and what they can't. So we just hope they don't take stuff that they're not going to use. And sometimes we'll give them a bag, and then we'll find most of the food out on the lawn or something. They'll just take what they want and leave it, whereas it'd be better if they just only took what they wanted at the door.
But when it comes to the distribution of foods, like, what does a normal bag look like?
Okay, so a box of cereal, can of tuna. Right now we have corned beef. That's not a normal thing, but right now, so they're getting an extra protein. Then they get a jar of peanut butter, 3 or 4 other cans, including vegetables, fruit, what we call protein, which could be like a canned spaghetti or a soup. They get, we try to give them crackers, and then we give them a roll of toilet paper. We give them macaroni and cheese, or spaghetti noodles and a jar or a can of spaghetti sauce. Each bag gets a loaf of bread, at least 1 loaf of bread, and if possible, we give them frozen meat and fruit and vegetables, fresh fruit and vegetables.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the work at the food pantry, how do you distribute the work process?
Okay, so Tuesdays we intake food and from the food bank, and I try to shop so that my car is full and ready to be unloaded Tuesdays or Thursdays. Wednesdays, we get produce, and that involves just 1 or 2 people. And then Thursdays, it's pretty much the same people that come on Tuesdays. So I put in 2 days a week at the pantry, usually 3 to 4 hours a day. And then on other days is when I do the shopping for things that aren't coming from the food bank. Today I I was at a store, and they had paper bags with handles. Mm-hmm. And so I went ahead and bought 300 paper bags, and they're sitting in my car right now. So for me, it's just, it's an ongoing process. I mean, some weeks I probably, go to different stores every day, trying to get the best deal on whatever it is I'm in need of. Mm-hmm. So it can be, I try at least probably 3 days a week where I don't do food pantry stuff, because it gets to be a lot. We make do. You just have to stay organized. That's the main thing, is you just have to stay organized, so you know what you have for inventory, and you know what your dates are, and you're not giving out food that's, past its limit. And, that's the main thing, is just boss people around. I'm good at bossing people around. So.
No, but you really are a good leader when it's the food pantry. You really make everything organized, and it really does help a lot for us to stay in place. So thank you for that. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, sometimes I'll come in on Tuesday and I'll be 5 minutes late, and somebody thinks that they're going to get a head start, and it doesn't do any good to try to get a head start if you don't know what to put in the bags, because mm-hmm. I always have a plan in my mind, mm-hmm. of what needs to, and even if we set up bags on Thursday for Tuesday, something could change over the weekend, mm-hmm. and I might have something else I want to add. So control freak, that's just my personality. Oh, well, okay.
About Jackie, do you mind talking or telling us more about who she is and how she helps the El Dorado community?
Well, first of all, she just got awarded Woman of the Year for Fresno City District 4, which includes El Dorado Park. So that tells you a lot right there. Jackie knows everybody in the neighborhood. Jackie does everything from organizing food to share vans, refrigerated vans, to go to Poverello House and bring food back to the neighborhood, and then she distributes it all over town. She feeds the whole community and half of Fresno. Mm-hmm. And all of this food that she gets from Poverello House used to be sent to the hog farmers. And now it's distributed to people. And Jackie did all of that. She's amazing.
What advice would you give future volunteers or giving their service in nonprofit organizations like the Food Pantry?
Show up on time would be my number one. When you say you're going to be there, be there. Be consistent. Be clean. Punctual. Those are probably the main things.
Okay. Thank you, Paula. And is there anything else you want to add? Or anything more information about the Food Pantry?
I think we pretty much covered it all.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.